Welcome to TLC for the Soul podcast, where soul meets spirit. You have entered into sacred space. I'm your host, TAMI Chambers, and I'm here to help you shine. Now let's get going on this podcast journey. Hello, friends. Hello, and welcome to our Sunday Bringers of the Light show. Almost every Sunday, I try to do Bringers of the Light. That's you, that's me, that's all of us. I'm standing up today because I wasn't going to be on camera at all, and my guides were like, we want you to be on camera. So if you're listening to this on the podcast and you feel like you need to see me on camera, then you can head on over to YouTube, where I will post this as a video. Otherwise, I'm leaving this wide open today in terms of what we're going to talk about, what motivation, what excitement we're going to do a little bit of child's play and a little scavenger hunt and see where they take me. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to be on camera because I was just like, oh, I just feel like I look so tired. And, they're like, well, if you are waiting for the perfect moment, it might never come because of my perfectionism, right? So, all right, you guys, let's see what this week ahead has in store for us bringers of the light. Let's get settled. Let's get in the space for receptivity, and let me just wrap us all in love light and light love. As I call in the spirit guides who overlight this show, Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, the Pleiadians, I want to welcome you all here. I don't know exactly what we're doing this week. What I do feel like is March is really ready to get going and get moving. So every time I want to sit back and focus on, okay, there's still a few more days of February left, March is already like, no, we're calling you. And the thing we really need to focus on is eclipse prep. I kind of set it aside for a little bit, but this April eclipse is something that we need to get prepared for, almost like an early Lionsgate. So I think somewhere in our next shows, I need to do a March show because I've got all sorts of fun stuff to show you for March. But probably next week we'll be doing a March energy update and an eclipse prep show. So I've got my personal altar space in the background here because at some point I may flip the camera around and start pulling out cards, and I want you to see, I just like you to see the power and the beauty of this altar space and how it's got the Reiki crystal on it, and it's got a lot of interesting items that you may find bring you some additional healing or whatever floats your boat. All right, so I may be on and off camera as they have me walk around and pick up things to talk about what's going on in this now. So let me just grab my drink and let me just tune in here to what's going on. Okay, so thankfully for my wireless mic. So if you can't see me and you're watching the video, you can just focus on the altar space. Something may be calling you there. But right away, they bring me, oh, it's kind of hot up here. Whew. Okay, two things are happening. Let me pull this off. So two things are happening. So this is my little bag of stones for Avalon and Merlin. There's actually some moss agate. They're just stones that represent Avalon and Merlin, which for us as bringers of the light is our bringers of the light call to action. And then this is always sitting on my altar space lately because I feel like, I just need a lot of energy to get everything done. So this is the Fire Dragon card from my deck, my creation. I always say my deck, and I wonder, like, I don't even know if it really even matters. Like, I create these decks. So these are my decks, my creations. In case you're curious, everything I talk about here on the show is listed in the show notes. If you ever want to read the ebooks, which are free to read, if you want to look at the card decks, anything else that we talk about, you can always go to the show notes. But Fire Dragon called out, and this is, I don't know if it's backwards, the citizens of Loveland needed more energy to get things done at this time. So what's happening right now, let's set that back, is you're being called into action. And I talked about this. Where did I talk about this? Oh, the last card reading we did was kind of a bringers of the light call to action as well. So for those of you that are listening to this, this is very multi-layered. It's about cycles and rhythms, ending and beginning, and new, like, cycles and rhythms ending, cycles and rhythms beginning. But there's so many cogs that you could fall onto any cog, or you could fall on any one cog or multi-cogs. So for example, you're bringers of the light. So you're being called into your light work. You are, because we talked about this before too, anybody watching or listening to this typically is an intermediate to advanced practitioner. Many of you, the majority of you, yeah, I'm getting chills, the majority of you have been on this journey like a really long time. This is not your first rodeo around the spiritual path and all that. And with this April eclipse, everything kind of leading up to it right now with this 2022 or 2022 to 2023 energies has been preparing you for these coming gates that are opening up. So I don't want to get too excited because I did have some caffeine this morning. So I just want to make sure I'm talking slowly and articulating what the guides want me to without any distortion coming in. Let's take a deep breath together. So bringers of the light, you're being called into action. If you've been on this journey for quite some time, then you're being called to deepen your service work, whatever that might be. And you're being asked to, like, not look back to past what you might consider failures or false starts, and to just get going. Yeah, and they're bringing up fear. So I'm feeling like this channel has been around it's been around quite some time. It's been around. This is the 5th year of TLC for the Soul. A lot of you have been here for some of that. I don't think anybody here has really been here for all of it, but a lot of you have been here for quite some time, like years of this journey. And you've seen this channel kind of just sit at a stall in terms of, well, you can't see what's happening with the podcast, but if you look at the YouTube channel, you'll be like, why is this channel still at 100 and, I don't even know, we have 166 subscribers. Views very low, what's going on there? It's all part of the journey. It doesn't mean the channel is not powerful. It doesn't mean the messages aren't important. It's just everybody's journey is different. But if I sit back and I get discouraged every time a video gets, whatever, the views are going up, but every time a video gets, 2 views instead of hundreds or whatever, I'd never be here talking to you now. So this is a journey of perseverance, of patience. All of you here are old souls. The majority of you are old souls. Those are the types of lessons you have to learn, the hard lessons. Being patient, persevering, standing strong, getting up every day and doing this whole earth journey thing over and over and over again and over and over and over again. Continuing to hear the, I'm going to do air quotes? It's not air quotes. I was going to do promise, like the promise of, like, things are going to change, things are going to get better, things are going up. Keep going. That's a familiar one. Keep going. You're almost to the end. If we gave up, which in all reality, your spiritual journey, like, you can't give up on it. You may think you're giving up on it. but you're not. All right. You may go into a hangman status yourself, like, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore. But eventually you keep coming back around to it. So I just keep using myself as a personal example. There are times when I've been like, this sucks. Nobody's watching this content. Nobody's listening to this stuff. Why am I bothering to do this? And then Spirit, it's a test. Like, do you love doing it? Yeah, I love doing it. It's part of your purpose then. Okay, well, and why then is it just, if it's part of my purpose, why is it so slow to grow? It's so slow to grow because that's part of your journey and part of your lesson. You have to persevere. You have to learn perseverance, patience. Patience is a big one. And you have to keep going if you love it enough, because again, this is not just law of attraction. It's part of your purpose. Anything. It's not just a channel. It's anything you're personally working on where you feel like, wow, this is really hitting home. If it's a relationship you're wanting or whatever, like anything like that, has to be worth the wait. So I was chatting with another way shower on YouTube, and I'm like, this journey is taking so long. It's been so many years. I talked about this in the last reading. There's things on my manifestation list that it's like 5 years now, and these are things outside of my control. I mean, believe me, if it was something in my control, it wouldn't already be manifested. These are things outside of my control. These are the things on your list that you've had to surrender to source and to surrender to spirit, and you're still waiting. Like, why am I still waiting? Oh, do I still want this thing anymore? Yes, I do, because I really feel it, like in my heart. I feel it in my soul. I feel it in my bones. It's part of my purpose. I have to keep going. I have to carry on. I have to persevere. Right? And here we are yet again. I do really feel though, and I've had several confirmations from various way showers, that different cycles, longer cycles, like 5-year and 10-year cycles, Saturn cycles, and some different, what they're calling like twin flame cycles, are coming to a close, and new cycles are starting. Things that started in 2012, which may be that was a very important year for all of us. But things that started in 2012 are now finally wrapping up. Like the Saturnian cycles were like those long, like 9-year cycles, have come to a close, and we're ready now to start new ones. With everything you've learned and everything that you've gathered on your journey, like that hermit where you had your crane bag or your medicine pouch or whatever, the knowledge, the wisdom, all those things, now you're ready to move forward. And I can see that now. I see that on the channel. I see, and nothing is by chance, okay? So if I sat there and thought that some AI bot or some, what the heck is it called? The algorithms or whatever were the cause of what's going on with my YouTube channel, then in one level of truth, yes, that could be true. But since God is my source and spirit is my source, then those things were being curtailed, I guess, for lack of a better word, for a reason. For me to learn patience, for me to learn perseverance, all of that. So now those lessons, the tests and initiations, the majority of them, hopefully, have been learned. Now I see the reach of the channel growing. I see it reaching more people. So Spirit has opened up the gates for me. I'm just using me as an example. Apply this to yourself in what area of your life you feel like you've maybe been stalled or been learning a lot of deep lessons on. But Spirit has opened up the gates for me to move forward. And what I found that's interesting is over this, I would say it's been 5 years, over this past 5 years that I've been working on TLC for the Soul, every time I thought I was giving up on it, like, oh, screw this, and I would leave, I would leave the podcast or I would leave YouTube, like for months at a time. Some of you know, you were like, where were you? It's like, I'm just kind of tired of trying. Nothing's happening. There were many times when there was just one little soul out there who got this message. So if there's just one soul who got whatever message I was sharing, then that should have been considered a success. So when I learned to let go of wanting it now, whatever that might be, and just enjoying the journey. We talked about this, and if you haven't seen this last card reading, I'll link to that in YouTube. In the podcast, you just have to go back one podcast to listen to that. But my son, he made me lose my train of thought. Your priorities. This always came back. This work always came back as something I wanted to keep doing. So no matter how long I dropped what I was doing, I was always led back to it. Like, are you sure you want to give that up? You sure you want to give up the books and the cards and all that? I'm like, no, I love doing it. I want to keep doing it. So I just kept doing it. I just kept doing it, and I just kept moving forward, knowing that that was still my dream. So, and here's how I kind of knew, right? So I was like, I've created so many card decks now. Are these card decks going anywhere? Like, nothing's really happening with them. I don't even know. I haven't even looked. I think this is like my 8th or 9th deck. But last month I was like, oh, I need a deck for spring. I didn't even want to finish the Loveland winter deck because I was like, I'm so tired of winter. And so in 2 days I created Spring Fling. This is 91 cards. I mean, I got the creative momentum. I was like, oh, I want to do this deck so bad. And I worked with the Pleiadians on this deck. And when I work with the Pleiadians, we always have like a very fun kind of just crazy deck full of like a different little Pleiadian being came and created each card. But we have Spring Fling now. And we're going to pull a couple of cards from this in a minute. I'm going to do a deck walkthrough at some point here to show y'all the deck because it's an Oracle/Tarot deck. But this is how you know, right? It's like, oh, I love my decks. They're like my babies, just like my books are like my babies. So if you're interested in any of the decks I have on YouTube, I have walkthroughs of all of them in a playlist. You can take a look, but this one is really fun for spring. So I think what we're going to do in a minute here is flip the camera and pull some cards to see what the cards have to say, how they collaborate with the message that's going on. So bringers of the light, you are being called to action yet again. And if you're a bringer of the light who is like, oh, I just don't even want to try anymore, then you're being asked to reconsider that, okay? All right, let me think. All right, so that's message number 1. Message number 2. What do you want me to do? Message number 2. They want me to talk about divine counterparts. You know, I don't do this very often. Oh my God, has this been covered the whole time? That's kind of interesting. Let me stop this for a second. Okay, I just want to make sure. I don't know that last part. I'm sure you can hear it. My voice carries far enough. Okay. So they want me to talk about divine counterparts. I haven't really done this in quite some time. I'm kind of hesitant still to do it in a way, but let me see what they want me to talk about for divine counterparts. So this is for anyone who's on the divine, I'm calling it divine counterpart journey. You may call it something else. Why do you guys want me to talk about this? All right. So I heard a very important channeling the other day for those of you that are on the divine counterpart journey, whether you have met your counterpart or not. Some of you are only communicating with this other soul in the 5D. Some of you have met this soul in the 3D, and you're kind of, they say you're kind of wondering what's going on. Like, oh, why are we talking about false twins? You're kind of wonder. I don't. Okay, hold on. Let me be very, very clear. I don't want to get into the whole, I'm talking to my guides. I don't want to get into the whole, that whole twin blame thing. Can we like just be succinct and bring in, can we like rise above that? Because I don't want that audience here necessarily, so to speak. I don't want to get into all that, like the whole, that dynamic. All right. I want to talk about divine counterparts who've healed their core soul wounds and are healing their healing their union in the 5D as well as in the 3D. But I don't want that other thing. Okay, I'm not going there. Okay, so now what do you want me to talk about there? Divine counterparts, the cycle. Okay, they're stuck on the cycle. So they want me to share that I heard a channeling the other day. I've talked about her before, but this is twin astrology. I've only listened to messages that stand out to me. And she was talking about a 9-year, my son, she was talking about a 9-year cycle ending for divine counterparts. Since 2012, 2013, those of you seeking or working on a divine counterpart relationship, all those lessons that have been learned, everything that's been incorporated, everything that happened during the past 9, 10-ish years is coming to a close. And with this March equinox and it's like a window between the equinox and the solar eclipse, there is new energy coming in to support these unions now. Okay, hold on. They just made my mind like so totally blank. So hold on. What do you want me to share? They're saying that's all. That's all. So whatever that means to you, if you're being called to action, then support is coming in for you. If you're seeking a divine counterpart, then that person, if they're not known to you yet in this 3D, they will be made known to you. If you're already working with a divine counterpart in the 3D, and you have felt like your union, your relationship has been kind of at a stall, at a stalemate, at a hangman situation, that is all going to start opening up again. So new energies coming in to support the divine counterpart journey. That's all they want me to share. They are saying that if you do want to listen to that channeling, her name is Marla. Her channel is Twin Astrology on YouTube, and it's she just did this video 2 or 3 days ago. It's something about cycles ending and new cycles beginning. So I'll leave it at that. That way I just am not here like parroting everything she channeled. So somehow that's important. So now they want me to do cards. So I'm going to flip the camera around. But they're saying this should be celebratory. This is between now and the equinox. This is a time of wrapping it all up, going back and thinking about everything you've learned through whatever cycles you think you're in. If it's a short cycle, like since the last moon phase, you know, what's going on there? If it's more of a Saturnian cycle, like the past 9 years, what happened there? If it's like a interim, like a more of a 5-year thing, because there's things going on too with different asteroids. I don't know enough about the asteroids to talk too much about them, but with all the Union and Vesta and all those, so there's things going on there too that are everything's supporting forward motion. So let's turn the camera around. Let's see what the cards have to say to help you kind of through these final stages of renewal. So let's just, right now, if you're listening to this when this Bringers of the Light show drops within the next 3 or 4 days, it is ripe with signs, synchronicities, serendipities, ideas coming through. I mean, I've got so many ideas today. I was like, where do I start? I don't even know which one to focus on first. So don't jump into anything right now. I mean, just gather the ideas. The forward motion will start to happen. What is today? Today's the 26th of February. The forward motion is going to start to happen this coming week. Oh, this for this week. So let's just get some cards up on the board to see if there's anything. I have not altered this space at all this morning. I pulled my own cards, and right now, before I started recording, I took everything down. So this is how it is for myself in the morning. So there's a very powerful portal that comes down, comes down, comes down and out. So let's just get into a few cards. All right, so this is Spring Fling. I'm going to pull some cards from this. Just if there's anything else the guides would like to share with us. You know, my on-camera shuffling is not that good. There's one flipping over. Oh, two. Okay, so we got Temperance and the Devil card. Okay. Wow. I think this is what we just talked about. So I feel like the cards are just going to be confirming what we've already talked about, but let's just see. Let's just prop these up here because these two. So it's funny because last night I was getting really excited. I'm like, come on, spring. See, spring was trying to come in again because here where I live, I don't even know when is stuff going to thaw out. I don't think it's going to be until April. I think stuff will slowly start to thaw out, but March I think is just the thawing out of all of the feet and feet and feet of snow. It's still very cold outside. And I really was like thinking of all my bicycles, and I'm like thinking of my Brompton. I have a Brompton that I've hardly ever ridden. I have so many, I have like 6 bicycles of my own. I have a recumbent, tandem recumbent bike I've never ridden. It just sits, I paid so much for this bike. It sits in the garage. It's like, I want to go out and ride my bike again. I want to, so I was already daydreaming, like, you know, what needs to happen to the Brompton, because I don't have anybody to like do mechanical work on my bike anymore. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to learn how to service all my bikes. The tandem does not work right now, so I need somebody to help with that. So I was like, I just want to get out and ride my bike and be, what's at the bottom of this card? Oh, be in the spring flowers and enjoy the sun/clouds. I don't know. So, I don't know. Take that with what it means for you, because obviously in the southern hemisphere, oh, hold on. Perfectionism kicking in. I've got to, come on. I want my picture to be straight. So this is exactly what they're telling me right now is what I'm doing, okay, is the Devil card. So my picture's not straight and I'm really trying to mess with it, and they're still not letting me fix it. It's still crooked. I can tell that it's crooked. And this was just like me getting on camera this morning. It's like, oh, I just don't feel like I look good. No, I feel like I look really tired to get on the camera today. And they're like, get on the camera. If I wait for the perfect moment, if I let devil energy come in, which in this case, like it may be something different for you. It may mean a lot of things, but if I let devil energy kind of cloud what's in my heart, which is kind of this card, it's like divine masculine, divine feminine. It could be your own internal masculine and feminine. And they're like in their heart space, they've got hearts above their head, but they've got this devil energy that's like putting down lightning bolts, kind of like trying to mess with what's in their heart space. So for me, if I just use this as an example, this is for you. So if I am like, oh, I have nobody to fix my bikes, I have nobody to ride with. I don't really like riding alone, but I do. And I've ridden, I'm not like super athlete. I have my limits, but I think the longest ride I've ever done is 20 miles at one time. I went from Irvine, California down to Laguna Beach or Newport Beach on my bike on bike trails. That was a 20-mile ride. But we don't do that around here. Anyway, don't let the I don't knows and the whatevers kind of cloud your fun. If you get ideas for things at this coming week, or on your vision board, and you're kind of like, oh, I can't do that because of this. Oh, I can't do that because of this. The perfect moment's not here. I don't have this. learn self-sufficiency is number one. And number two is just take a risk and have a little fun. Like, what's the worst that can happen? I can think of a lot of things, but if I let those keep me from not moving forward, then what kind of fun are you going to have just kind of like sitting in your house, right? So in the southern hemisphere, it's going to be autumn, and instead of Ostara, they've got Mabon happening. But hey, that's the perfect time to get outside and enjoy the flowers and all that stuff. So let me do this. Let me get I haven't combined the, I'll draw it from each one individually. I've got Loveland Spring Pack for my folks that are going to have spring weather. And I've got Loveland Autumn Pack for my folks that are in the southern hemisphere. Let's just see what we've got from Loveland Spring. Emotions. Learn to flow with your emotions from a calm, balanced state. We get this card a lot. All right, I'm going to move these two back here. And this is kind of what I do with my cards in the morning. I just kind of set them up there. And then let's pull from the Autumn Pack. I just also like, this is just me personally, I like, for me, how the beauty of the cards. I've made all the decks to kind of work together in terms of the colors and stuff. Okay, autumn folks, we got 2 cards from the Autumn Pack. Loveland, do everything you love this season and always. See, we're just talking about that. And it came out with Finish the Story, Haunted House, Fright Night. Oh, it's one of my favorite movies. Bill paid for 2 tickets to the Halloween haunted house. It was a foggy, dark night, and he thought it would be a fun treat, but Melanie refused to go because... This is just confirmation of everything we just talked about. Like, I know for me, the big thing is like confidence. See, that haunted house card is yellow. Well, you can't see it if you're listening, but the haunted house card is yellow. Mainly yellow, has to do with the solar plexus. I would say in this case on the haunted house card, Melanie is afraid to, let me finish the story and see where this is going for you guys. Melanie refused to go because the last time she went to a haunted house, she hit her head and almost got a concussion. And so she doesn't want to have to do that. Like fear of the unknown, like what could happen? Fear of the unknown. That's the devil card again. I think the cards are just continuing to reiterate the perfectionism, the fear of the unknown coming up. What if? So I know for me, a big one for me, I'm just going to go back to bike riding is because I haven't ridden in a really long time. I used to ride my carbon fiber bike with clips, with mountain bike clips. And I haven't ridden clips in a while. Like that's the pedal clips. Like I know everybody's not familiar with cycling, but I used to clip in and ride. Oh my God, I used to do these crazy rides, you guys. I used to do crazy hill climbs, like all these things. And I have not ridden in a really long time. So I have to go to what for me are like the granny bikes. Like I can't just immediately jump into clips and put on my riding jersey. I used to have the whole get up because in Irvine, when I lived in Irvine, California, like it was a huge biking place. There was bike trails everywhere. Everybody rode like in biking groups, all the bikers that you might like get mad at as you were riding, like the ones that are in the spandex and all that. Like that used to be me with clips and, walking into the coffee shop with the mountain bike clips on the shoes and all that. I had all the clips and all the jerseys and everything. And when I had my big awakening, I got rid of like all that stuff. I didn't get rid of the bikes, but I got rid of all my gear. So for me, the confidence factor is I have to start out like on the easy bikes, which are like my folding bikes. So I have 2 folding bikes. I'm going to get the Brompton like ready to go. And the confidence factor for me there is just getting out on the road again. Not getting out on the road. Like I'm not afraid of the traffic. Like I can deal with the traffic. I'm afraid of my own kind of awkwardness, I guess, of riding a bike. It takes a lot of hand-eye coordination. And if I'm not really paying attention, believe me, there's times I've fallen over with clips on before because I forget to unclip and put my foot down. All of that like hand-eye coordination of like stopping, putting your foot down, braking, being really grounded in the now. That's a big confidence thing for me. Like I have to really work on that. So this is messages for you of like things that might be coming up for you as you start looking at your list of things you want to do. Again, back to the devil energy, like, oh, I can't do that because whatever. So it's baby steps, right? It's going to be baby steps. Like, I'm not going to immediately throw clips on my shoes, go get my mountain bike shoes and do that whole thing. I'm just not ready for that. Like biking leg, you have to build your stamina, your strength, all of that good stuff. Getting outside, important. Being fit, really important. The title of this day's show is something kind of like you can have it all. And they wanted me to show like a big buffet of like a really good food. Kind of like you can have it all, but the only thing that's stopping you or could potentially stop you is this devil / confidence energy of not moving forward because you feel like, whatever, insert the fear or the emotion that might be holding you back from doing that. And can the excitement and the fun and the adventure outweigh the fear? So across the street, there's a big civic center from where I live, and they're going to have a rodeo next weekend, and they're going to have a little concert. It's the first one I think of this season, and I've been seeing like the horses come practice, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to the rodeo. I've never been to a rodeo. I want to go in and see, the horses and whatever they're doing in there. I'm like, I want to walk around and hang out with the people and just hang in the energy of the rodeo. So maybe we'll do a little feed from the rodeo for next. We'll have some clips, I think it's next Saturday, from the rodeo to show you guys. So anyway, do everything you love. Don't be afraid. And I could be like, oh my God, I've never been to a rodeo. I don't fit in with the rodeo folks. I actually used to. I used to go country dancing. I used to have put on, I didn't know, I never had the hat and all that. No, I still was myself. I don't think I ever dressed like country, but I like to do country dancing. I liked country songs. I would go to like way back in the day, like, 19, 20, 21 years old. I like to go to like the clubs that played country music and just do some of the country dancing, would go with friends from work and all that. So it just feels like, because they keep taking me back to like back before all of these things happened that kind of like changed your world a little bit. Because the things I'm bringing up here, the cycling and all that, that was like pre-2015, before I left corporate, before my whole spiritual journey like really got into play, and Spirit threw me into hermit mode. Really, since 2015, Spirit threw me into hermit mode, and I really stopped doing a lot of those things because I was so focused on the spiritual work. And now it feels like the energy is opening up. A lot of the lessons that had to be learned during that time frame, this past 9-10 years, have been learned, and now the energy streams are opening up again to be able to give you the time and the capacity, mentally, physically, emotionally, to be able to go back to some of those things again and just like start living your life again. But you're living it from a higher state of being now, of not really an altered consciousness, because that makes me feel like we're under the influence of something, but a consciousness that is able to pull itself out of whatever 3D reality and remember who you are. Remember that you're a soul having a physical experience. Remember all the lessons that you've been learning this past however long it's been for you, so that you don't forget. You have learned so much. You've been through so many initiations and tests and trials that there's pretty much almost nothing now, right, that can pull you out of your power. And so now you're being, I'm going to say allowed, you're being allowed, because I feel like Spirit has purposely pulled you out of different things to make you focus on these lessons. Because if you were too caught up in the bike riding and the running and the rodeos and the whatever it is, it's not rodeos, but if you were too caught up in that outside external stuff, you would not have had the capacity to do the very important internal work. And so now you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting the knowledge and the like the elders, the knowledge of the elders with the child's play of like, a lot of these things are things I did when I was, a teenager. So you're getting the best of both worlds, and you're being asked to do this. Learn to flow with your emotions from a calm, balanced state, no matter what you're doing. All right, I don't care if this runs long. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, then whatever. You can come back to it. I'll try to put chapters in, but let's get Pleiadian power out. They've got my throat chakra really turned on today. It is just like I had a tiny bit of caffeine, but it just feels like I'm going 100 miles an hour. All right, let's see what we got from Chinnaparakata, Pleiadian power. Oh, see? They like to play with me too. The guides are so cheeky. Things are speeding up now. It's kind of like the Chariot card, but it's really a Vespa. In this card, it's like a Vespa. God, I used to want a Vespa. I still kind of do. This town is very, where I live, I live overlooking a valley, like a huge valley, like the town is down in the valley and I live like at the top. So to go into town, there's like huge hills. And I used to have, I don't think it works now. I used to have an electric trailer for my bike. So that any bike, if I wanted to have like electric capacity, like I didn't have an electric bike. That was one thing I never had. I wanted, but I didn't get. I got the trailer instead. And so the trailer had batteries and the trailer would hook onto the back wheel of my bicycle, and it had a throttle that I could run up to the handlebars. And so when I lived in Dana Point and Laguna Niguel, those were like terrifying hills, and I couldn't ride my bike unless I had the trailer because the hills were just so steep. It was just impossible without the electric assist. So Vespa, we're talking about Vespa. Yeah, so if I want to ride my bike here, I pretty much have to just ride up where I live, which is kind of boring. If I want to ride in town, I'm going to have to take the folding bike, like the Brompton, down in the car to the park and then ride down around town and then bring it back up. If I had a Vespa or an electric bike, many people have electric bikes. Many people have fancy equipment where I live. There's a lot of electric bikes around, but if I had an electric bike or a Vespa, we have a lot of cute Vespas too, then I don't know. Why is this coming up? Whatever. So things are speeding up now. Right? Things are speeding up now. You can tell my energy is really sped up. The Gemini in me is really flowing strong right now. You can hear it in my voice. And you just have to take what I'm saying and apply it to you. All right? I'm just sharing what I know from my experience, whatever that means to you. All right, so we have 2 major arcana cards. Actually, we have 3. We have the Chariot. What do you want me to do? Oh, a happy cloud. All right, let's get a happy cloud. This feels like more than a week's worth of energy. I really feel like this is the new, like a new Stargate opening up, new energy streams. It's like it starts now. I think it was like Marla said in her channeling. She said, it starts now, but it's like a whole new 9-year cycle starts. So it's not just this week. It's like these are the things, these are the energy streams that are opening up for the next 9 years. So like pace yourself, right? Okay, so let's get happy cloud. This is my deck. Peace. Oh yeah. Stay in your power. But this is not a reading, like we're not going to go through 9 years worth of like year 1, year 2. This is just the beginning. What's going to happen here is, what's going to happen here? You're going to start feeling the momentum. You're going to start feeling the momentum. Oh, that's off camera. And you're going to have to balance that out. All right, so let's talk about this. And I think they're saying this is the last point they want me to make. And then we'll pull a Scott card because that's what I do every day in my personal reading. So you're going to start feeling the momentum and you're going to have to kind of pace yourself a little bit. So last night I was laying down and I started to get really excited about the Brompton. I'm like, oh, I'll get the Brompton going. I'm gonna have to get the basket for the front because when I moved the basket that I used to put on the front, I can't find it. I'm gonna have to like get, all these things started coming. I was like, oh my God, I need to make a list. I need to get online right now. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I was still up thinking about the Brompton. And I was like, whoa, this is where your master self comes in. All the things that you've learned over this past 10 years, this is where the rubber meets the road in terms of your self mastery. Because I was like, I've got to do all these things. And the energy, if you aren't aware of it, can easily carry you. And it happened to me again this morning. I was aware of someone who is going through a rough time right now. And occasionally I'll reach out and ask him if he wants, he's a young person that I mentor sometimes, but occasionally I'll reach out and I'll ask him if he wants to talk or if he wants to, me to help in any way. And I just started like spiraling, like, oh my God, I should start asking him to work with him. I should try to help him with this thing that he's going through, blah, 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 blah. And it got all crazy. And I was like, wait, stop. This is where the self-mastery comes in. Wait and stop. This is what I did last night too. I was like, wait, stop. It's 11 o'clock at night. You can't ride a bicycle right now because the streets are still covered in snow. So just put that on a list to take care of. Like, make it something fun to do, like spend an hour, whatever, preparing your bike, make a list, do all the things you need to do to manifest what you want, but you don't need to do that right now. So just slow down. Same thing with this person. I was like, should I contact, I was getting all like, cause I really like helping people. I like working with people. I like doing healing work. I like doing energy work. If I didn't, I wouldn't have all these services up on my website and everything. And I was like, wait, stop. He's not asking me for help. I just know because I get really tuned into this person's energy field. Like, I just know they're going through a rough time, but they're not asking me. And I asked Spirit, I'm like, okay, wait, stop. Do not contact this person with all of these questions and things because number one, that's overwhelming. Number two, that's overstepping boundaries a little bit. And I said, if I'm supposed to help this person, this is where I stepped back. I was like, wait and stop. Because I was getting really excited. Like, I really wanted to do it. Pull back, and I just told Spirit, okay, if I'm supposed to get in contact with this person, I want very clear signs that I need to do so. Otherwise, I'm going to let them live their own, I'm going to let them, they need to get through this on their own. So just pay attention as things are speeding up to where you're on the speed train or whatever. Like, don't let the speed train pull you out of your power, because all these things are going to start opening up to you again. And it's going to be very easy to get embroiled in it. Not embroiled in drama. We don't be embroiled in any drama. But to just like let the energy pull you along as if you had no control over it. And it's like, yes, you do. You do. You just need to remember who you are. If things start getting too fast, you have the ability to slow down a little bit, take a step back, take a couple deep breaths. It doesn't have to happen right this second. And then, ask for your guides for help. Like, okay, if I'm really supposed to do X, Y, Z, I need very clear guidance. I need some signs. I need something to tell me that I'm supposed to move forward with this. If it's for me, like the bike thing, like Rome wasn't built in a day. I can't get on my bike right now. As much as I want to go out and like pump the tires up and get on and go, like there's things that have to happen first. So pump your brakes, kid. Just take it easy. Take it slow. All right, so I feel like when the fire dragon came out earlier, like he is here to help us, like the dragons. Like if you do really need help getting some stuff done, just call in the dragons. You will get done whatever you need to get done, but you have to balance that too. Okay, you have to balance your energy out and make sure that you're not like overextending yourself, depending on your energy levels, okay? That's very important, depending on what type of energy levels you have. All right, let's get a card. This is my favorite deck. I only use this really personally But this is the Oracle of Light and Dreams by Scott Howden. Let's see what the Scott card has to say to wrap up this reading. We went a little longer today, but I feel like this is necessary. All right, the card we got is, oh, Thistle. I love this card. This is like the spiritual warrior card. So we're closing on Bringers of the Light again. So let me set her down. She's like my little Bridget girl. So this is our big Bridget girl back here. This is like our little Bridget girl. She's like a little Bridget girl. So it's like you've grown up now. You've grown up now. Okay, so let's read because I like to read from this book. This is Thistle. Stand up for what you believe in. This is it, you guys. Conviction, strength, values, integrity. This wild-haired warrior is a fine example of someone who stands up for what they believe in. Defiant and determined, she is dressed in the tartan colors of her clan and is ready to defend her people and their rights. She holds a thistle in her hand, the adopted symbol of her beloved Highland home. It represents bravery, devotion, valor, and strength, all characteristics of her fiery determination. We are often faced with situations that cause us to consider compromising our values and beliefs. For instance, abandoning a moral principle and bowing to peer pressure because we are afraid we won't fit into a group, or the dog's having a dream, or cutting corners in order to save time and effort. It may often feel like the easier option to go against our convictions, but the more we compromise our values, the more of a negative impact it can have on our well-being. When we stand up for what we believe in or speak truth to power, it not only allows us to overcome obstacles and be true to ourselves, but also builds greater self-confidence, respect, and integrity. And the quote is, "And one day she discovered that she was fierce and strong and full of fire, and that not even she could hold herself back because her passion burned brighter than her fears." Mark Anthony, The Beautiful Truth. That's exactly what we've been talking about this whole entire show. All right, you guys, let me see if there's anything else they want me to do. Okay, they want me to come on and do a separate show for light language. So we have a lot of shows coming up. We're going to have a March show, a March light language transmission that I'll do in a separate probably, and the eclipse prep. All right, so I'm going to leave you here with the power and the glory of this altar space. All of the cards shining through, and we will chat with you